How to show an occupied property so you could sell it for maximum profit. That's the topic for today's show. This is Todd Toback, and welcome to the No Limits Real Estate Investing Podcast. If this is the first time listening to the show and you have not downloaded our Motivated Seller Script, you got to go to my website. It's nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script. nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script. And there you could download the exact script that I've used to train my own acquisition specialist and to train thousands of investors across the country to lock up their first or next wholesale or amazing rental property for their portfolio. So make sure to download the script today. My gift to you, absolutely free. So today's show actually came from a viewer on Instagram, and this was Ralph Pena 215, Ralph Pena 215. So thank you for submitting it. And by the way, if you have an idea for a show, feel free to hit me up on Instagram, Todd Toback, or email support@nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com. But Ralph sent that in. And by the way, Ralph, thank you very much for sending this in. He said, how do I sell a property when it's occupied? How do we handle timelines? How do we handle if it's vacant? How do we handle bidding? And how do we handle deadlines, right? A lot going there that we're going to unpack. So I figured I would go through this process step by step. So let me tell you first off is that your mindset should be, if this is occupied or if it's vacant, it's the same procedure. All right. Occupied or vacant, same procedure. I know a lot of wholesalers out there, and me too, when someone was living in the property, the seller or a tenant, and I knew that I had to bring over, 5, 10, 15, 20 buyers at the same time, that, all the fear started to creep up, right? What was the seller going to say? What was the tenant going to say? Were they going to back out? Are they going to say, who are all these people? And I was going to lose my precious deal. Well, I'm going to tell you something really awesome about this technique. And by the way, I have done this for many, many, many years. I know what I'm talking about. Okay. Some people kind of can't get over this and they never do it. And they literally leave multiple tens of thousands of dollars on the table because they're stuck in their old ways. Okay, so let's grow, let's expand, let's get out of your comfort zone, because that's what today's show is all about, right? It's very, very important to create competition at your properties. You need multiple buyers there with a deadline who feel the pressure so that you could sell this thing for maximum profit, especially in this real estate market. So this all starts the day that you lock up the contract with a seller. Now, not the day. I'm going to correct myself. It's the moment. So when you sign on the dotted line, the first thing that you need to do is anchor the seller. Set solid expectations of what's going to happen during this process. I've talked about this scenario a lot, but if I'm working and I tell my wife that I'm going to be home at 2:30, and I come home at 2:45 from whatever I'm doing, if I'm out working or if I'm training, our people, and I come home 15 minutes late, it's like Armageddon in my house, right? I lied. I'm not trustworthy, and I'm not a man of my word. Okay. And that's from 2:30 to 2:45. Now, if all of a sudden I tell my wife, I'm going to be working a long day at the office and I've got a lot going on, and I tell her I'm going to be home at 7, same day, same situation, same circumstances, and I come home at 7, man, I walk in the door, she's happy, big smile, big hug, man, happy wife, happy life. And the key word there is expectation. Okay. So when you have a seller, at this moment, when they sign on the dotted line, this is the perfect time to lay the foundation, right? To lay those expectations with the seller. So you tell them what's going to happen, why it's going to happen, okay, and what to expect next. So for us, we say, Mr. Seller, great. So because we're, going to make this really easy and convenient, we offer this white glove service. We're going to try to do everything at once. So we have basically an inspection time. So I'm going to have my inspector here, and I'm going to have some of my buyers here because I'm going to pre-market the property. And I may have some other people here, but I'm going to have it all done at once. So it's going to be about a chaos for about 30 to 45 minutes. I may need to get in one or two more times, but probably not. Okay. So you set that out and say, I usually like to set this out 6 days from now. Okay. And we usually like to do them at 10:30 a.m. or 12:30 p.m. So give them only two times, give them the window, have them choose 10:30 a.m. or 12:30 p.m. By the way, that is flexible, right? You can decide which ones, but give them two choices. Give them the day and give them two choices. Now, if they give you a pushback, right? Say, okay, I also have a Thursday available and a Friday at this time. But you want to keep nailing them down until you have a time. Now, I can tell you 9 times out of 10, that first time works. So just get it done, give them a time, make it exact, right? Say, great, we're going to have everybody here. It's going to have a little bit of chaos, but we're going to do it all at once. Now, let me go back to my wife's example, right? I'll tell you a second thing that has happened. We built a pool, I don't know, about 4 years ago at my house, and it was a very, very, very big project. They built it to the hillside is one of those infinity edge pools. And I can tell you that, my wife does not like it when I have a handyman, come over the house, like random handyman, like let's say they've got to hang a curtain rod or they've got to, fix the mailbox or something like that. So if I call them and all of a sudden they show up, I'm telling you, my wife can't stand that one little person showing up at the house. So when we got our pool done, my pool guy is saying, hey, we are in and out of here, right? This is an 8-week project. There's going to be 20 trucks here. You guys aren't going to be able to park. You're going to be totally inconvenienced. Your driveway is going to be completely muddy. There's a good chance that we're going to break some concrete in and out of here, but we're going to be in and out of your hair in 8 weeks. Man, this guy did a great job of anchoring. And let me tell you, there was over 20 people there every single day. There was trucks everywhere. We couldn't park, right? There was mud everywhere. They broke the concrete. But guess what? The expectation was set. And my wife did not complain once. She's like, wow, these guys are on it. They're going to be in and out of here 8 weeks. They're going to get the pool done. And we're going to have our beautiful pool. And so that's the same exact scenario when you're anchoring with a motivated seller. Now, the property is either vacant or it's occupied. And it's very important that you lead the seller because they don't know how to deal with this whole vacant occupied thing, right? If it's vacant, number one, set that time. If you can get a lockbox put on the property, that's the best thing, but still keep that time. If you can't, well, then just have the seller be there. The second part of this, though, is if there's a tenant in there. And the seller at this point now, by the way, if it's owner occupied, same thing, just set the appointment, have the seller let you in. If there's a tenant in there, though, then say, we're going to tentatively make this for Thursday at 10:30. So can you let your tenant know that we're going to do this at Thursday at 10:30? If you tell them that date and it doesn't work, you can call me to reschedule. But tentatively, let's have this date. And if that doesn't work, we'll go from there. The cardinal sin here is having him or her get back to you after talking to the tenant. That will stall the deal. There will be lots of back and forth. The tenant's going to start to give the seller pushback, and it's a nightmare. So set that time. Have the seller tell the tenant that's the time, right? And by the way, I recommend having the 24-hour notice to enter document. This is almost in every single state. It's a document that you use to basically enter at will, right, when you have a tenant on a property. So the seller probably has never used that if they don't professionally manage the property. So if you have one, print one out for your state and give it to the seller and say you can just post this on the door and it'll come at this date. If the seller does need to change, remember, give them that freedom. They'll most likely never use it if you give them 6 days in advance, right? Because, the seller's going to have to let them in sometime. So use that. If you've got to reschedule, fine, but do not leave there without a tentative appointment. So now we've got that locked in. Expectations are set. The seller is ready. So if you've got 20 people coming over there, man, you're a man or a woman who keeps their word. You get it done. And this is how you win, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's talk about buyers. You should have a thick buyers list. I've talked about this in the podcast. You can go listen to many shows on this. I like to send out an email or a blast text and or put the property on the MLS with a broker, right? However that is, you put it on there and you communicate. Number one, this is the suggested starting bidding price. Number two, this is the time that you could come see the property. I'm going to have pictures beforehand, right? I'm going to put those on the website or my cash buyers list, right? Three is that do not contact the seller directly or you will be taken off my buyers list. And four, this is the deadline for an offer, right? So number one, the time that they could see it, the expectations when they're there, and then three, the deadline for an offer. Also, I have some notes there on being there right on time. There's going to be a small window. I don't do no 2-3 hour window, right? 40 minutes max in and out. Now, if you do this right, depending on your market, it should be absolute pandemonium. It should be a zoo, depending on how you price your property and in the market. If you're in San Diego or Florida versus, Birmingham, Alabama, you still can create a frenzy, but not as big of a frenzy. All right. Now that you have everybody there, you create the frenzy. I like to have my property inspector, and I've talked about this, an actual professional property inspector, when there's a frenzy, get there a half an hour early so that the seller is focused on him or her. And that way, this professional inspection is just another level of legitimacy with the seller. It's going to cost you between $250 and $300. So now that you're there, obviously you're going to have people bid with their highest and best. Everyone's going to see other people there. They know there's competition. They're going to feel the need to come up with their highest and best. And now because of that, you're going to end up with an extra $10, $20, $30, even $40,000 on a property because you did it this way. Now, one other trick here. There are going to be some properties in which you can't get access for whatever reason, right? You lock up the house and, either the tenant now is not cooperating or the seller's like, I don't want anyone else to come in. Or, there's another problem there. And so at that point, I want you to negotiate a price that you could just take this deal down. You could buy it yourself. There's also podcasts on the show about how to raise private money, how to use hard money loans, how to get partners. Do not let money be a situation here. If you're in San Diego or the Treasure Coast of Florida and you want to partner on a deal, you need money, email support@nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com. I'd love to partner with you. But if you can't get in, then just negotiate a better price. So if this is a good enough deal to buy, get vacant, and then just resell the traditional way. And you're going to make even more money on that deal. So remember, number one, set the expectation with the seller at the time of signing. 2, set an inspection date. 3, create a frenzy. 4, have a deadline. 5, doesn't matter if it's occupied or vacant, right? Does not matter. But if it is vacant, if it is occupied, right? Make sure that you set that date with the seller. If they say they need to get back with the tenant, right? Set a tentative date 6 days later, and the seller can cancel if they need to. And if you can't get in, no way, no how, man, there's a good deal here because the seller probably has a bigger problem now. Negotiate a deeper price so you could buy and take that deal down. Actually buy it for cash using partner, using your own money, using a hard money lender or wherever else you could get the cash, buy it, and then resell retail for the highest price possible. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. Make sure to head on over to nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script to download the script, and I will talk to you on the next episode.